Welcome, welcome. It's Tuesday evening. It is June 5th, and it's Golden Speakers Toastmasters time. If you're here, yes. Oh, yes. So Peter, yes. Okay, clap everyone. Yay, here we are. Yay. Okay. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to practice oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. Let's hear it for our mission. Woo! Woo! Okay. Okay, one word about clapping is that I'm still a little bit on remedial clapping, so I'm going to go like this, but don't clap like me. This is me. This is me. But you guys, I want to have full-throated clapping, if that makes sense. Okay. Tonight we have. Oh, let me just mention. So we meet here every Tuesday evening, and we are in the Hy-Vee Club Room at the west side of the store, at the end of the ice cream aisle, which, by the way, is open for business when you leave. You can pick yourself some up and then go home and just reminisce about how great the meeting was. All right, we do have a guest here, although I understand that she's going to be joining the club. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go ahead and hear your name. You can stand, give us your name again this week, and tell us why you're joining the club. Yay!
Hi, my name is Carmen, and I joined in the class because the last time I came here it was fun. So I was welcome. So I really appreciate the opportunity to have this kind of environment with this kind of friendly people. So I'm ready to continue to come here.
All right, well, we're very glad to have you. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Okay, good. All right. We have time at the end. We'll have a little bit of club business that we've finished. Our officers just had our meeting right before this meeting, and a couple of announcements there. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and turn the meeting over to our Toastmaster for the evening, Jean Craig. Woo! And notice format, ladies and gentlemen. So up here, I don't leave the ship until he gets here and he's ready to take it over. And now I can leave. So thank you. All right.
Now I'm driving. Fellow members, honored guests, viewers at home, I'm going to begin my section by introducing the role players, the members that are going to help move the meeting along. The first role player that I'm going to introduce is Fraser Jones. He's the timer. Come on up.
Good evening. And tonight I'll be the timer. I'll be keeping track of the time of the various events. For tonight, we'll have one prepared speech. Is it the icebreaker? And is it 4 to?
It's going to be 5 to 7.
Okay, 5 to 7 minutes. So at 5 minutes, I'll be turning on the green light. At 6 minutes, the yellow, and 7 minutes, the red, and it will stay on till the end of the talk. And we also have table topics, which is 1 to 2 minute speeches. I'll turn on the green light at 1 minute, the orange at 1.5, and the red at 2 minutes, and it will stay on till the end of the speech. And I'll be also timing evaluations, which are 3 minutes long. The green light will come on at 2 minutes, and the yellow light at 2 minutes 30 seconds, and the red at 3 minutes. So And I'll be giving a report at the end of the at the end.
We're going to hear from Fraser also in the role as joke master later in the meeting. Now we've got Peter Armstrong, who's going to cover a couple of roles for us tonight. Grammarian and ah counter. Please come up to the front, Peter, and explain your roles.
Thank you, Dan. In my role as of grammarian tonight, I'll be listening to the language that the members and any of the speakers use, and making a note of exceptionally wonderful word usage, nice turns of phrase. And if there are any grammatical missteps that I catch, I'll probably make a note of those as well. The grammarian also chooses the word of the day, and today's word of the day is written in the back of the room for everyone to see. But in case you don't want to turn around, the word is procure, to procure. And the definition is to get, especially as the result of effort or plan. A sentence would be, we managed to procure our supplies before they ran out. Protect and save are often mistakenly chosen as the meaning of procure, perhaps because of the confusion with the word secure. Procure is not the same as secure. My other role, which I'll mention right now, is as ah counter. And the ah counter looks for filler words in the talks, such as like, you know, so, but, and xeroxes, which is a start, or saying the same thing twice, and false starts, where you start and stop again and start over again. And that is what the ah counter does. And with that, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Peter. I'll mention in relation to the word of the day that the person that says it the most, of course, is going to get Peter's admiration and recognition at the end. So use procure a few times, and if you do it enough, then as a result of your effort and planning, you'll be the winner. The last role player that I'll mention is our general evaluator. Jean Symington Craig is also going to fulfill that role. General evaluator. Her eyes are bugging out, but I'm sure she can do it. Since we've covered all of our role players, now we're going to move on to the first main section of the meeting, which is our prepared speeches. Tonight we just have one prepared speech. It's going to be Jean giving an icebreaker in her Pathways track. Her evaluator is Janet Evertson, who's going to come up and read the objectives of her project and also to give us an introduction for Jean. Please welcome Janet.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. I'd like to introduce Jean Symington Craig tonight, as she has been a Toastmaster since 2006 and a distinguished Toastmaster, DTM. She is a 6-year member of the Conscious Communications Toastmasters of Fort Madison and serves as the club liaison for the members with Toastmasters International. She also belongs to Golden Speakers Toastmaster in Fairfield, where she has served as president in various officer positions. Jean has one husband, Dan, also a Toastmaster, and 2 dogs, Porter and Aubrey. They have just celebrated their 18th wedding anniversary, that is Jean and Dan. They live happily in Fairfield. Jean will be doing her icebreaker for the pathway, entitled Presentation Mastery. Oh, her title is Those Early Days. Jean Symington Craig.
Fellow Toastmaster, guests, soon-to-be member, and viewers at home. I've noticed over the years that even when I think I know somebody really well, I can learn something new about them, particularly when they tell me something from their childhood. Tonight, I'm going to tell you about 3 features from those early days of my childhood that affected who I am today, really influencing my self-confidence, my ability to make friends, and my love of reading. The first feature, I am the eldest of 4 siblings, younger brother, 2 younger sisters. The upside. I was the top dog just about all the time. I was the one who was mostly in the know, and it built my self-confidence quite a bit. I also was able, had benefits in terms of clothes. For example, I was the one that got the new clothes. My sisters got my hand-me-downs, always. It also was the case that my birthday is in January, so I was one of the older kids in the class. That also helped build my confidence because I had size, until I didn't, and maturity relative to my classmates. The downside. My parents tried all of their wacky parenting ideas on me as the first child. I was the guinea pig. For example, I can remember coming home from school and having to stand in the corner, practicing my posture. My dad was really big on posture, particularly female posture. For every minute that I had been up past the deadline from the night before, which was 8:30. My mom swears that this never happened. It happened. I lived it. It's incontestable. It happened. By the time my younger sisters came along, my parents had either loosened up or given up. I don't know which, but they had a much easier time of it. Today, I have a lot of self-confidence when I'm heading into a new situation with unfamiliar challenges because of that elder sibling position that I was in. The next feature I want to tell you about stems from the fact that my dad was in sales. After he and my mom got out of the Air Force, he was in sales and he'd get moved quite a bit from different towns and different territories like that. I was in 5 different elementary schools between kindergarten and 6th grade. The upside. I learned how to make friends quickly and easily. I had to because I was the new kid on the block and I had to work myself into the scene quickly because I was going to be moving again. The downside. I never experienced myself growing and changing and my friends growing and changing and still remaining friends. Because I always moved, my experience was I'm changing, and you just drop the old friends and you get some new ones that are reflecting your current mental and emotional state. As I got older and didn't move as much, I still didn't comprehend that while I was changing, that my friends could also be changing and growing, that they weren't just standing still, frozen in time. Okay, I didn't understand that we could have a friendship, everyone's changing and growing, and that actually would stay connected through change over time. Today, I have no problem wading into a group of strangers and just making friends and talking like I've known them forever. However, I do envy the people who have had friendships from way back in those early days and carried over. It just fascinates me that you could have something so rich over time. My third feature that I want to mention is I learned very early on how to decipher these forms that were on a page and get meaning out of them. In other words, I learned to read. This was the magic carpet ride that has never ended. I could go anywhere I wanted in time and space, enjoying different stories and facts and experiences, anything I wanted, just using my imagination and my mind. For example, when I was in the 3rd grade, I remember riding my bike to the local library in the summertime and just in that quiet space, just devouring fairy tales, which was one of my big passions at that time. You know, princesses with long hair, princes coming to the rescue, evil dragons, witches. I love that. I could spend a whole afternoon doing that. I actually don't know what I would do if I didn't have reading. It's been such a wonderful companion. Now, the downside. Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb here. There is no downside to reading. The more you read, the more you exercise your brain, the better you feel. Today I read all kinds of things. I'm always reading fiction and analyses and various publications. There's never a dull moment when you can read. You know, I just say, you know, make sure you always have something to read and take advantage. So, in conclusion, although you can always adjust your current direction, making changes to go a different direction, those early childhood influences really go a long way to shaping you today. For me, developing my self-confidence, having that ability to make friends, they may not have thought I was friendly, but I felt like I was making friends. And then also my love of reading are influences that have really helped me and carried through from those early days of childhood into my current adult life. I'm really glad that they did.
Thank you, Jean. Mr. Timer, would you put 2 minutes on the clock? We'd like to write out an evaluation of Jean's talk. Okay, we're back. Now, Mr. Timer, can you tell us for our information, did the speaker qualify?
Yes, the speaker did qualify.
Very good, thank you. Jean's our only speaker, so we won't be voting tonight, but we know that she's legitimate. We're glad to hear that. Now at this point, it's time to hear the evaluation for Jean's talk. And according to our general way of doing things, I'm going to introduce Jean as the general evaluator, who will introduce us to Janet as her speech evaluator.
La, 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 la.
Different hat.
Okay, it's good to be able to wear multiple hats. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, honored Toastmasters. At this point, I'd like to welcome up our evaluator for our speaker, Janet Evertson.
Okay, fellow Toastmasters, it was an excellent speech. I felt that she was very engaging and entertaining and really allowed the audience to get to know more about you. I found it very enjoyable. And I did this rating sheet. Clarity, I gave a 4, just because I didn't want to give her all 5s. No, it was simple and clear and very interesting. Vocal variety, had to give her a 5. She uses the whole range of her voice, and it's very charming and very engaging. Eye contact, 5, excellent. She looks around at everybody and makes you feel like she's talking to you. And her gestures are very good. Expressive gestures all day long, you know, through the whole thing, and walking around using the stage. And so it was hard not to give her 5s for everything. Audience awareness. She pays close attention to the audience. She's tuning in. You can tell she's seeing if you're listening and if she's got your attention. Comfort level, audience awareness. I somehow gave her a 4 because I don't know if everybody was paying attention. I wasn't able to tune into them. Comfort level was 5. She's very comfortable in front of people. And the interest, it was very enjoyable, so I gave her a 5 on that too. Things to work on. Gee, I was pretty stumped on that. I didn't get a lot of time to think about it, so maybe she could have practiced it one more time, let's say. Maybe there was a couple times where there was a hesitation, but it was pretty darn smooth. And to challenge herself, I guess she can just do more and more public speaking. Because other than that, she's got it down. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So congratulations, Janet is our first evaluator using the pathway evaluation form. So it's a ride, yes, yes. And was this your first evaluation?
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
absolutely.
So that's another round of applause. This is our first evaluation. Woo! And for those of you, just as a reminder that we, after you have done 3 speeches, then you are thrown into the evaluation pool. So you want to be watching and seeing how people, maybe more experienced club members, are doing evaluations so that you can learn from that as well. But thank you, Janet, for plunging in with me on that. Very good, very good. Alrighty, I think at this point, what we want to do is have our table topics, exercise ourselves a little bit, and so let's go ahead and have Dee step up, and we seem to be a little bit, so let's just see how much time we have for that. So please help me warmly welcome up our table topics master for the evening, Dee Stoffer. And Dee, good. Yes. Okay.
So we're having some fun. I have some interesting table topics, and table topics are impromptu speeches. You have no idea what you're going to have to talk about, and it's 2 minutes. Is that right?
1 to 2.
1 to 2 minutes. And these are kind of fun topics that you get to have to think about, and you get how much? You get a little bit of time to think. I think it's
Up to 30 seconds.
30 seconds to think about it. So here on these cards I just sort of nicely ripped up for you. So they have a little fray on them, so you remember this. And I have a bunch of them here, actually, so you'll have to, and they're current stuff, none political, although I thought about it, you know, we don't want to get into politics here. So, who would like to volunteer? Go ahead.
So I just choose one?
Yeah, choose one, yeah. Top line.
And then read it out to
Yeah,
us.
read it out.
All right, this is a philosophical question. Is stealing to feed a starving child wrong? What would you do, and what are your reasons? is stealing to feed a starving child wrong? It's a tough question, for me anyway. I would have to say that it's a wrong to the person that I steal from, if I do steal, and it's a plus to the child who is no longer starving. There's a loser in that game and a winner. It would be better, I would prefer to be able to solve the problem and not have to steal. Obviously, everybody would. But there are very few ways to take the sentence, is it wrong to steal from a something? And if you leave off the from, is it wrong to steal? Yeah, it is. What would I do? I fortunately have not had to make that decision. I would do my best to avoid the stealing for all sorts of reasons. But the primary reason would be that there's a risk in stealing. And beyond that, I don't know what I would do until I actually would be confronted with the situation. So I wish I could come down and say, yeah, I should just do it and everything like that. But no, it's not that simple. It's not that easy. And it's a whole nother philosophical discussion to talk about why did that situation come in the first place and how should it be solved. Thank you very much, Mr. Tabletop Master.
Oh, yeah. Good talk, right. Okay, next. Volunteers? Carmen? Yeah. Hey, Carmen. Let's keep it stick. Good luck. You'll do well.
Okay. What's a belief that you hold with which many people disagree? Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. I really think that being independent is something that every human being, but most women, should be really independent, because when you are young, you need to have the skills in order to grow up and be good in life. When you are a mother, those skills is gonna give you confidence to just raise your children. And in being independent means not only earn money, but also have a career. I know for some reason to have a career as when you are a woman is not good because, well, some parents says you are gonna marry at any time, so your husband is gonna work for you. Mostly in my country they say that. Or you can have a career that maybe don't put it too hard, not science or not being a doctor because it's gonna take too many years. After all, you're gonna have children, So it's a waste of time. But I think being independent is gonna grow you in the sense of that you are gonna be you are gonna contribute more to the society, and being a human being, you are gonna have more value, and you are gonna create a better future not only for yourself but only for your children and all the people around you. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Good job. Another volunteer? Ron? Welcome back.
Thank you, Dee. Toastmaster, table topics master, fellow Toastmasters. The question is, what's something you know you do differently than most people? What's something you know you do differently than most people? Good question. I don't want to beat this too much, but 6 years ago I got diagnosed with bladder cancer. And the doc said to me, well, the only thing we can do is remove your bladder. You'll live 3, maybe 5 years. Quality of life, poor. And I'm thinking to myself, guy's crazy, I can't have cancer. 2, in fact, so much I actually sat in a little room and I rolled my eyes to make sure there's nobody else in the room. I knew there wasn't, but anyway, just to be safe. 2, a premature, ugly death sentence. And then 3, wait a minute, cancer. The fight against cancer, the war on cancer, the battle against cancer. Now I'm an ex-Marine sergeant, I'm a Vietnam veteran. I understand that. I'm really well. But he's telling me, no, you need to roll over and die. And I'm sorry. I just went right back into being a Marine Corps sergeant as much as I've ever been. And so this whole time was the fight. The fight, the fight, the fight. Because everyone kept saying, yeah, just take it out. Yeah, we do it all the time, just take it out. Hey, I'm living here. Thank you very much. I went in here. It wasn't to be. But the one thing I think I do a little differently than some people is sometimes I get a little more tenacious about hanging on. I don't let go easily, although hopefully not dogmatically, but enough to the point where some people just kind of roll over a little too quick and too easy and say, well, I guess it's not meant to be. And well, hang on, who said that? You know, is that something we're making up in here because somebody told us some little lie when we were little and we believed it and now we're still acting like that? No. So if there's got to be one thing, it's just about just keep hanging in there and continuing on, really pretty much regardless of whatever else people think or do. Because ultimately, we're going to, as we've been told, you know, when you drop the body and you go to the pearly gates at St. Peter's, like the general evaluator kind of standing like, oh, why should we let you in? And what are you going to do? Whimper? No, just say, look, pal, I gave it my best shot. And if that's not good enough, see you. This is taking round.
Volunteers? Jen? Pick one.
Ready? This was his.
Yes.
Okay, fellow Toastmasters, here's our table topic. If you had to teach something, what would you teach? Okay. Well, there'd be so many things I'd like to teach because I love teaching. But the first thing that comes to mind is communication skills. Because I find that people try to say what they mean and I get other words for them, like you should say it this way, or how to ease into the subject, or I want to give them 5 different options to try. So my mind is always thinking like that in communication. So I think that might be fun because people struggle, and I'm sort of a mind reader. So I have an idea of what they want to say or they're trying to say, and actually it's a problem for me sometimes because I want to put words in people's mouths, and that can be very irritating. And I've done that, and I see myself doing it, and it's too late. I already started. So I'm working on that. However, in the right setting, I think it could be very helpful because I do get a lot of ideas about how something could be said differently. Easy for me to say when they're talking and I'm listening, but when I'm talking, I could probably use some help too. However, I've just really noticed that I want to give people the words that I know they're looking for. And usually I'm right, so I get pretty lucky that way. So that's what I'd like to delve into more. Thank you.
I have a couple more here. Dan.
Dan. Woo.
What does the American dream mean to you? What does the American dream mean to you? Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. I think I've always thought of that phrase as being a little bit the more narrow definition of home ownership. Somewhere after, evidently my crowd does not agree with me, but let me keep going. Somewhere after World War II, it became possible for almost the entire American population to get into that little starter home. And I think in many ways, people thought of that as the American dream, the idea that they could own their own home, have their own slice of life. But then it really has a larger meaning, of course. It's that idea that in America, no matter where you start, no matter what your background, no matter who you know, you can bootstrap yourself up to be as much as you want. Through education, through hard work, through luck, through effort. So in another sense, you might not want to hear it stated this way right in these times, but anybody in America can become president.
Well, that's for sure.
I think in some ways we might all feel that the American dream's a little bit tarnished, but I think we're kind of looking a bit too much on the negative side because there still is so much positive about our country. If we stop self-criticizing as much as is easy to do in many cases, and just start to list all the wonderful aspects of what's available in America, what people can accomplish, what people can do when they pull together, there's still a lot of American dream that we can all achieve.
So I have one more here. Fraser?
What life lesson did you learn the hard way? What life lesson did you learn the hard way? Actually, nothing comes to mind because my philosophy and generally was that everything is easy until you make it hard, right? So what did I learn the hard way? I did learn that you can make things hard for yourself by actually not having the right approach to getting something done. And well, one of my most spectacular, I would say, failure, right, was in high school, right? I mean, as I said, things came easy, so I didn't really have to memorize anything. Well, I didn't like art subject generally. So Spanish, the vocab, I would just read the thing through once and then go next day and fail it, right? I saw my brother on the other hand repeating words like a parrot, you know. I find that was weird. Didn't make any sense to me. So I just didn't do it. But later, much later, I realized, yeah, sometimes you have to do that to retain some things, especially things that are not logical. So I would say that's what I actually learned the hard way. Sometimes to memorize things that are not logical. Thank you.
Okay. So that's,
Now you can ask.
yeah, who qualified?
For everyone qualified,
Okay.
and you want me to repeat the name, so there was Peter, Carmen,
Ron
Ron,
and
Janet,
and Fraser.
Dan, and Fraser.
All right.
So do you all have your ballots?
Yeah.
Everybody have a ballot?
I'm gonna turn mine off here.
I'd like to introduce Gina's table topics evaluator.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Had a lot of topics today. How many minutes do I get? 3 to 4?
You get
3,
5 minutes.
3, 4?
4 or 5.
No, 3 to 4. I'll do 3 to 4.
Yeah, whatever you like. 4 is fine.
Okay. Peter got the question about the starving child, and he did repeat the question, give him a little extra time, give it some weight. I really liked that he actually came up with a new direction. It was an either or. Would you steal, would you not steal, and watch the kids starve? And he said, no, I think I'd rather just find a way to fix the problem and not have to steal. It was just a totally bring in the light kind of answer. So the suggestion I would have for Peter would be just on his conclusion, because he really put out that, startlingly brilliant, third direction, would be to say, just to have a stronger conclusion, say, well, so I would work harder to fix the problem. I have engineering skills after all, to feed the child without having to steal. Boom. Okay, that would be my suggestion. Again, it's all my just opinion. Carmen, beliefs that others may disagree with. she got right into it, the importance of a woman being independent. And then she set up a really good compare and contrast, because she said in her country, this is what often is said, and she gave us examples of dialogue. People say to women, you know, don't try to do anything really significant. And so, but then she ended with benefits. Why a woman it's better for her to be independent, because not only does she earn income, she has a career, but she can contribute to society, to other people's children and other people, not just her own family. I thought that was a really well thought out and good explanation. Suggestion for Carmen would be to, again, we're talking to the back room. I want everyone to procure a voice that hits that back wall easily, so everyone can hear back there. Okay. Ron had an excellent personal story, and it was very good because he had humor in there in the face of having cancer. So he's just saying, hey, I'm a former Marine corporal sergeant, and you're telling me to roll over and give up, and that just doesn't suit. And so that's not even going to happen. That's not in my fiber. I actually didn't quite catch the sentence. Something about something. I mean the question. I didn't write it down. I was spacing some way. So I don't have a suggestion for Ron, other than I thought he actually projected more this time than he did the last time I mentioned something to him. Maybe it's that fighting energy, just made it shoot out. But it was personal story, great story, and lots of humor there. Janet, what would she teach? She was going to teach communication. And she gave some examples of why she thought she would be good with that. She helps people articulate their expressions, and I felt that the suggestion for Janet would be that her ending petered out a little bit. It just kind of ran out of gas, so I tried to reach one more time and really convince us, because that's what we would go home with. Yeah, Janet, and communication. Dan, American Dream, what it means for the American Dream. I would like to suggest for Dan, I thought it started in kind of a strange place, and then it took a while to get to where, it was a little convoluted at the beginning, in my opinion. So I think he was trying to get to that you can get anywhere. There's still elements of that, even in today's world, that if you work hard and pursue your education, that you can achieve things. But even if you can't, you have all these positives that you can list. So it's a little bit of a gratitude and positives and just that. But I loved his ending. He nailed his ending. But there's, if we make those lists of positives, there's still a lot of the American dream we can see. Nailed it. I just loved it. Nailed it. So other than being a little convoluted, that's what I would say. So Fraser, last one. Fraser did a wonderful flip. His question, what's your life? What was the life lesson that you got that you learned in the hard way? I don't have that experience, he says. I learned to do everything. Everything was easy. That's how you do it, unless you make it hard. I loved how his brain worked on that. And he gave us a personal story. And then he did actually come with, yeah, you do have to work sometimes to assimilate things that you'd have no idea what that is. So I really like that. I don't have any more time. I'm not quite sure what I would say to Fraser, but it was a good, constructed talk. So, yeah. Okay. So, on our timer, Mr. Timer, I'm up here as the general evaluator now. We had 2 evaluators this evening. Could you tell us which of our evaluators qualified?
Yours was for 4 minutes, right?
Mine was 3 to 4 plus 30.
Yeah, okay. So only one evaluator qualified. That was Janet.
Okay. Okay. Should have taken a little more time. I like to press.
We had lots of table talk.
I know,
so
we did.
nice.
I know, but I don't like to have my, evaluations expand to fill the time. Actually, I do. I love to do that, but, I was resisting that. Thank you. All right, so we only have one evaluator that has qualified this evening, and so we don't need to vote, and we know who it is. What a nice ending for that. All right. Okay, now we are going to have some reports. We'll have a joke. So let's just go here. let's see. First report would be from our timer, Fraser Jones.
Okay, Jean speech, she spoke for 6 minutes, 54 seconds. On table topics, Peter spoke for 2 minutes, 8 seconds. Carmen, 1 minute, 56 seconds. Ron, 2 minutes, 10 seconds. Janet, 1 minute, 30 seconds. Dan, 2 minutes, 17 seconds. Fraser, 2 minutes, 6 seconds. On the speech, on the evaluators, Janet spoke for 2 minutes, 22 seconds. Jean for 4 minutes, 42 seconds. And that's my report.
Thank you. Okay, our next report that we'd like to hear would be from our grammarian and also our odd counter for the evening, Peter Armstrong.
Thank you, Jean.
All right.
We'll go through the counter report first. Jean, in your introduction, in your speech, there was one false start, otherwise it was clean. Janet, in your evaluation, there were 3 ahs, and that's all. And your table topics, I didn't detect anything. And for the rest of the evening, I didn't hear. I was doing 2 jobs, but I didn't hear a lot of ahs or ums or buts or any of that. So overall, a very good effort. Club members, thank you for your excellent job. As a grammarian, Jean got the prize. And Dan, did you say procure as well? I believe you did. Yes, Dan rarely misses that. I didn't hear anybody say that, including myself. Jean, I liked your expression. In your speech, my parents had either loosened up or given up. I'm not quite sure which. Also the upside, the downside, and that you used to good effect, I felt. Janet, you said at the end of Jean's evaluation, she's got it down. Talking with Jean. Carmen, I liked the phrase that you quoted from your country, that your husband is going to work for you. I suppose that's it's an original take on things, but it's also quite true in many ways. As anyone who has a honey-do list can state. Ron, hey, I live in here. Hey, pal, this is speaking to St. Peter. Hey, pal, I gave it my best shot. See ya. Janet wanted to put words in other people's mouths and then demonstrated that later on. Dan, there's still a lot of the American dream that we can all achieve. Jean heard it slightly different. I don't know which one of us was correct.
Probably you.
And Fraser, speaking about one of your most spectacular failures, being in high school. I like that expression. You could make a speech about the other 2 spectacular failures, and they'd probably be just as much fun. And that's my report. Thank you very much.
All right. I think now we have a joke from Mr. Jones.
Okay, so I'll give you all a joke, a Caribbean joke. I'm from Dominica, and Barbados is another country in the Caribbean, right? So this Dominican was in Barbados, and he couldn't get a job. So he decided to open a clinic and he put up a sign saying, get treatment for $20. If not cured, get back $100. So a Bajan lawyer, he said, this is great opportunity to earn $100. So he goes to the clinic and he said, I lost my sense of taste. So the Dominican said, nurse, bring the medicine from box number 22 and put 3 drops of in the patient's mouth. The lawyer said, that is kerosene. so the Dominican, congrats, your sense of taste is restored. Give me $20. A few days later, the lawyer want to recover his money. So he said, he go back and say, I lost my memory. I cannot remember anything. So the Dominican said, nurse, bring the medicine in box number 22. And he put 3 drops on his stuff. The lawyer now he said, this is kerosene. This is what you gave me the last time. So Dominican said, hey, so you get back your memory. You can't give me $20. It's funny. Okay, so the lawyer decided to go back one more time. He said his eyesight bad, he cannot see. So the lawyer said, the Dominican said, well, I don't have anything medicine for that. So take this $100. The lawyer said, but this is $20. So the Dominican said, oh, you get back your eyesight. Give me $20. All right, that's it.
Oh, excellent. God, that is great. That was so, I felt like I was in the islands, while this is all happening. Felt great. All right, good timing. General evaluator. Well, we had 2 evaluations, me and Janet. So I'm going to mention me first, get that out of the way. I didn't have a suggestion for improvement for everybody, and that is foundation evaluation. You got to work it, and it's not just to help them. Of course, it does help them. It's your opinion, so that they may take it into account, they may not, but it's really important for your own brain, because it'll sharpen you into looking at what are things that I could suggest. And there's 2 ways to do it. One is to suggest something that was missing or was extraneous in the talk itself. That's kind of a higher point value. If you don't have one of those, you can make a suggestion that says you might want to consider adding this piece of content to help fill it out. So like adding something in that would help flesh it out. The person may have decided they didn't have time to do that, they didn't want to do that, but that's another way you can put that in. And always give examples. So I think I did give somebody, I think it was Peter. And I just suggested a way he could have phrased his conclusion a little differently, because I was saying something stronger and I gave him an example. So you always want to do that so your person knows what you're talking about. But, so I didn't do that for everybody, and I went over time, so I have to make sure I don't do that next time. Okay, so Jean, you can work on that. Now Janet gets total kudos because it was her first evaluation, and it was the first evaluation that's ever been done in this club on the new Pathways program. So she had different material, she had to look at all of that and assimilate that. I probably will be a better evaluator of an evaluator once I've done that myself and get it handled, but she went into the details, which is what I wanted. She gave criteria of the different points that were there, and she gave an example of how I met those or I didn't meet those and suggestions. So that was really good. So you want to be specific, use the material that's in the manual, or sorry, not the manual, the evaluation. And I believe, Jan, you're gonna give me those pages, because I think at this point I will have to figure out how to upload them into my transcript. So stay tuned, we'll figure that all out together too. But it was excellent, and just another round of applause to Janet for first evaluations, always a big one. Yes. Okay. Now, if you are doing a speech and you're a speaker, you want to make sure you get your evaluation criteria to your evaluator. So you can scan and send it if you're working in the traditional manual or the pathways. They have them all in one place called speech evaluations, and you can just download it and send it to your evaluator. All righty, that would be it. I'm going to call back up our Toastmaster to give us some meeting awards and such and so forth. Yay, Dan Craig. Dan Craig. Woo.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. It's time for meeting awards. Let's have a little drum roll. Let's give Jean Symington Craig her icebreaker ribbon. Come on up. Come on up, Jean.
Okay. This is the original program, but anyway, it's good enough right now. Okay, so so Dan wants, Ron's giving us a, yeah. You want to kiss? You want to kiss? Okay, here we go. I'll leave that right there. Okay,
And
thank
she
you.
donated it back to the club.
Yes, thank you.
What a sport. Our next award is going to be Best Evaluator, Janet. I'm not going to give Janet a kiss, but we'll give her a nice handshake. And finally, our real competition, table topics. Ron. I'm not going to give Ron a kiss either. Let me introduce Jean Symington Craig, who's now wearing the hat of Madam President.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Well, that was a rousing meeting. I'm not going to ask you what you thought of the meeting because you're going to be a member any minute, unless you feel like you'd like to say something about the meeting one more time. Okay, it never hurts to hear something. You can tell us something you liked about the meeting.
Yeah, today the meeting was really funny. I think it was funnier than the last one. The table topics is my favorite because, when you're in front, sometimes you don't know what to say, but you have to say it anyways. But what I really like is the environment. So everybody can learn, and still we laugh from each other's thoughts or ideas, but we are still friends. So that's nice. I really like it. Thanks.
Very good, very good. Good. Actually, we do have to give some recognition to our table topics master. This is the second time, if not others, but I know 2 times at least, he has done a bang-up job on his questions and his exercise and what we're doing, everything. So I'd like to give Dee a round of applause. All right, we do have a little bit of business. Just want to mention a couple things. So first of all, it's been our tradition to have a end of the year party in some way, shape, or form where we induct our new officers. Remember, we selected them last week. And the officers, were a little smaller in our numbers, and we were thinking, so it's usually the last meeting of June, and we don't come here. We're going to be somewhere else, and we just enjoy each other. It's a social event. And we induct our new members. So the thinking was to go to one of our local restaurants. And the officers, we want to keep things, you know, very affordable like that. We're focused in on 2 of the Mexican restaurants that are in town. One is Aranda's, one is La Hacienda. Just want to, you know, I have actually done events in both of those locations. So I know how to, you know, we can have a table, we can have some stuff set up, and just meet, say, at 7, maybe 7:15 if that's easier for people, and then we just have some fun and eat and just enjoy each other. I wanted to just get a sense if that sounded, you know, just open it up for a little bit of discussion. I mean, see, Ron and Carmen, yeah, so. I mean, does that sound like a good idea, something we could do, or does anyone know they're gonna be out of town, not able to attend,
We're
or
talking about next week,
26?
Tuesdays.
Tuesday the
Tuesday
26th.
the 26th.
So what is that? That's,
2 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
yeah.
Yes, yes. I might be out of town, I don't plan on. I'll probably be gone the week after, but I could be out of town.
Okay, if there's anyone you want me to call and ask that you be excused
No,
from.
no, it's when I can meet with family members
Oh,
in Michigan, so.
okay.
That's the place across from the post office.
That's Aranda's, and then La Hacienda is farther west,
I
you
will.
know, on Burlington. Yeah. But we're just getting the lay of the land, and the Mexican, they're both good, they're both nice. We ruled out others for various reasons, so is there general consensus that that might be an okay place to go? That might be an okay evening, and one of those restaurants would be
Either
good?
one.
Yeah, either one is good, okay? Okay, good, I love Mexican food anyway, so that's nice. All right, we also made decisions on our shopping. You remember the shopping list that I was talking about? We have $290 worth of bookstore bucks, and your officers hard at work are picked out a number of things for the club. Dan Craig, want to mention him, did a lot of work on this, so we'll be getting some new things in for our club. Was there anything else that we wanted to do? Yeah, that's all I think we want to put out right now. Okay, so now Peter, as our acting VP of Education, do we have speeches scheduled for next week?
There. Fraser, are you still thinking of next week?
I'll try. I can't confirm that.
You cannot
I
confirm.
can't confirm. It looked more involved than I expected, but
All right, well, I'll touch base
I'll
with
tell
you
you
later on.
before.
There's- Thank you. And possibly Alex.
Alex, right,
And she's committed to do it,
okay,
but I haven't spoken with her recently
Yeah.
to verify that.
okay. So we're ready and willing and able to have more speeches. Carmen, after you're set up, now it's interesting, you're okay to be in English, right? English is okay, good. You know, it's Toastmasters is global, so lots of different language options, but you're gonna be eligible to start, pathways. We can talk about it after the meeting, but yeah, I would love to have you start working on a speech. So you can always work with our Vice President of Education to schedule that. Okay.
I'll just mention that Carmen and I spoke earlier,
Oh,
and
good.
she's already done 2 of the topics in the competent
Competent
communicator.
communicator.
And so it's my understanding she could continue there.
Yep.
If you wanted to, if she wanted to, so.
You have options.
Yeah, it was almost 1 year ago, so I don't know if it would be better to just begin with the icebreaker.
With the icebreaker
Icebreaker.
in the pathway, and don't worry about that manual.
Yeah, I think so. But I need a little bit more time for the pathways because I was getting used to the book.
I know, we're all used to the manuals and we know how they work. Just let Dan put your info in, and we can help you get started, but there's once you're in, you go to toastmasters.org and you can go to pathways, there's a thing up at the top, and then it starts to lead you. Okay, so, yeah, we still have this little time. So we have Janet and Peter and me, and who else there's somebody, and Alex, are all currently on the pathways. And I'm just gonna encourage you guys to go do it, even if you don't start it, but get through, there's an assessment that you do based on your interests and how you are, like that, and then it'll come up with some recommended pathways. You don't have to take those, you can take something else, but those are the ones that come up based on your answers. And go ahead and get yourself, in the system, because, I'm gonna need somebody to evaluate me for my second speech, and, it might be nice for you to be able to go in and pick up an evaluation out of the evaluation pool. But we're all learning together, so no pressures, no worries, but we're a little bit in two boats right now. We can do traditional and we can also do pathways, the online. So it's up to you. I've got just to mention, I have a competent communicator that I still have 2 projects to complete in, and I'm gonna complete that because I have some other things I wanna stack up with that. All right, good. Officers, is there anything else that we discussed that we wanted to bring up to the club? I think I've got them.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, well, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting adjourned, and we'll see you all next week.